Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are live. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are kicking off day 2 of the Us United More Than a Hashtag streaming event. So that is what we are starting off today. Of course, the main goal for today and the focus will be showing our appreciation and support for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And of course, we want to raise money for AFSP. The link for the Autumn Snyder AFSP fund is in the description. Okay, so we want to be doing that. That's what we want to focus on. And if you can't donate, then you can also share the link. That is also, important. And that is also a good way to raise awareness, outside of just raising money, because that is also just as important. So today I will be having, I see you guys in the chat. Sometimes it is delayed and I apologize for that, but I can see it in my YouTube tab that I have open. I will be having 2 special guests joining me today. I will be having Sean O'Connell from Cinema Blend will be joining us shortly. And of course, we know that he released the Snyder Cut book. And then later on, after Sean, he's on a limited time. So because of his schedule, after he joins us, then we will have the wonderful, beautiful Liz Wonder joining us as well. So I'm very happy and excited to be, for them to be visiting the channel. And thank you guys for all of the support. Let me see right now. Let me check the Autumn Snyder AFSP. Should be fun. Let me share it really quick. That way we can all take a look. Let's see. It is, I have a few tabs open, so just bear with me. All right. So currently it is at $73,589. We know that we have surpassed the $50,000 goal. And so that's where it stands currently as of right now. So again, the link for that is in the description. We know that this was the most important thing for Zack. And even though, sorry, I'm tweeting out the link real quick to tell everyone we're live. We know that this was the most important thing for Zack Snyder and his family when they had to leave the film. And as much as we were fighting for the film, as much as we wanted that, to see our movie, that was the important thing, of course. So since my chat comments are not coming through, let me go look at the other tab. All right. What's up, Internet Master? Igor, Tiago, Andy, Amanda. Yes, restore the Snyderverse. I see your guys' comments. Thank you, Fear Jason. Hello to you. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Daniel, Joseph, Lloyd, nice to see you guys. Prakash, hope I said your name okay. Thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate the support. Yeah, we do want to, of course, talk about Restore the Snyderverse and all of that. And showing our appreciation for the film. So let's see here. Let me just refresh it to see. Okay, it's at about the same right now. So just remember, guys, you can always share that link. Someone had asked me the other day if, if the AFSP, if it was just for, like, is it a resource? And it is a resource. So it's not just something that people donate money to. I mean, those donations help in some way, right? So that is also a resource if you need it. And so that's what we want to put out there. It's a resource. It's not just something that's, it's not just a name. It's not just, it is a resource. So you can use it. You can donate to it. In any way that you need. You can share the link again. So a lot of people don't know that those kind of resources are out there, and they are. So it's important to make that known. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. True. I think the best parts of the Snyder Cut movement for sure. Yes, it is. What's up, Ryan? Nice to see you. What's up, Anthony? Yeah, that was the, thing that Zack really appreciates most about the fandom. Yes, he appreciates the support for the film, but even more so the support for his daughter Autumn and, the suicide prevention milestones that the fandom has reached. All right, so I see people are still kind of showing up. We'll give people still some time to show up. Ron, Amanda, thank you guys for being here. Let's see, while we wait for Sean to get here, let's look at the chat. So are there any questions you guys would like to leave in the chat or any comments? We can talk about Zack Snyder. We can talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Spoiler alert, just in case you haven't seen the film, we may be getting into spoilers of some kind today, depending on how where the discussion leads us. So just be aware of that. There may be, oh, that's weird. Wonder why that went away. We may be getting into, spoilers, just so you know. Let's see. I really think these people spamming Restore the Snyderverse under things they shouldn't are trying to give us a bad name. Yeah, I don't. What's up, Kupi Malik? Thank you for being here. I don't think that's a good way to go about it. As far as take for instance the the Suicide Squad trailer. It's probably not. Don't do that. don't spam the trailer or the comments or with just hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. That's not really. We don't want to get attention that way. You know what I mean? We want to get attention the right way, respectfully. And so don't do that. We don't want to do that. But I'm happy to welcome my first guest for today. Let me put in my headphones really quick so I can hear you. All right, so let's go ahead and welcome Sean O'Connell to the Hive. Hi, Sean.
Hi, good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it. I know.
Sorry, I'm running late.
No, don't worry about it. I was almost running late too. I was on a phone call, but we're really happy that you're here, and thank you for fitting me into your schedule.
Of course, I'm happy to talk to you. You're a huge supporter of the Snyder Cut community, and you're so active in here. It's a blessing to be on this show. I'm thrilled. Oh,
thank you. I try to be. That's the main goal, to be positive, support the, just support the unification of the fandom instead of, just
you can never get enough of that. Yeah, you can never get enough of that. I try to lead that way too.
I see that, and that's why I wanted you to, come on the show, because I think we, have that in common. So thank you. And speaking of that, let's see. Let me see here. Okay. Speaking of that, you actually wrote a whole book about this movement.
I did.
This was your first book, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Wow. You went out with a bang for the first one.
Yeah, I got really lucky with this. The idea of the book coming out so close to the movie has been so beneficial, because I think a lot of people are watching the Snyder Cut and seeing how different it is from what they, expected it to be. And then, if they're casual fans, they're genuinely curious of what happened to this movie? How come things went so wrong? And so I'm lucky and very, very thankful that the book is sort of waiting there for people who want to pick it up and sort of get the behind the scenes story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a big thing to tackle for a book. I guess if like for those of us that kind of know about the movement, you could say like, yeah, there's plenty, like there's more than enough stuff you could put into a book, but like it has to be organized. It's still going to take a lot of research and like going back to the beginning to kind of like track the things that led up to the movement itself and then what happened after it kind of took off. So when did you like decide that you wanted to, was there like, well, I don't know if there's a specific moment, but like, what kind of made you decide to, I'm going to take this on and I'm going to write a book about it?
Yeah. So I've been kind of entertaining the idea of tackling a book for a little while, but I never really found a story that to me was meaty enough or juicy enough to spend, because this takes 2 years. You know, it's a long process, and you really have to live in the story for a really long period of time to make sure that you're getting all the details right and to make sure that you're really understanding it from all angles. And so I was always fascinated by what happened on Justice League, and I was fascinated with why Zack left and how come he got replaced by Joss Whedon and all the things that went wrong with the theatrical cut back in 2017. Like, just as somebody who's been covering this industry for 20 some odd years, to see that story play out was really interesting. However, the more I learned about the Snyder Cut movement and all the people who were involved in it, I kind of realized that by trying to tell their story also, it was a really great complement to the interesting movie making type stuff that I found really intriguing, but also to get to the human element and the emotional element of why people were involved in this. And, you know, I credit my wife, Michelle, who's the one who basically said to me when we were kicking this idea around, she said, you know, the story of the people is way more interesting than the story of the movie. Like, find out why these people are dedicating their time and their energies to getting this movie released, because there have to be reasons. And as you'll see in the book, you know, everybody had really great and passionate reasons that I got completely swept up in.
Yeah. I mean, at first, like I was saying before you joined us, it was about the film and like how we kind of felt, you know, cheated as a fan base. You know, we were kind of like defending this studio, not knowing that we were actually going to be like, you know, deceived in the end. And so I think it started at first it kind of started out with, I guess you could say, anger.
Sure.
And like, you know, we were frustrated about what we got on the screen, and especially knowing what happened with Zack and his personal life. I think we probably, you know, we felt like, how could you do this to this man who just lost his daughter and stuff like that? So I think it grew from there. And then after, the more we started finding out, you know, what was supposed to be in the movie or what Zack had planned for the movie, of course, that just kind of motivated us further. But again, you know, a lot of people started resonating with what Zack was going through personally, which is one of the focuses of today, which is, you know, losing loved ones to suicide. Again, the AFSP link is in the description. You can donate there or share the link, or you can also use it if you could benefit from it or know someone who can. It is there. It's not just a charity. They have resources available. And so when Zack and Deborah kind of started putting this out there, the fan base kind of just like jumped on that wagon and really, I mean, it really exploded after that. A lot of people didn't really know about those resources. Even Zack and Deborah said they weren't really aware of those kind of things. So when you were writing this book and, you know, reaching out to people or doing research, did you find a lot of those kind of stories within the people that you talked to? Is that?
Absolutely. And it was a great reminder of how these characters and that story of what Zack and Debbie went through can connect and resonate with people on emotional levels and really make you feel bonded to somebody who is, you know, who you may never meet outside of just meeting them online. And it's a reminder that I think so many of us need to hear every once in a while, that you're not alone in a lot of the pain that you feel. And you're not alone in a lot of the experiences that you think you're going through. I think it's really easy I'm someone who suffers from anxiety a lot, you know, and when you're going through it, you feel like you're the only one who's putting up with that. And then you very quickly learn that there's a community of people out there who share the same things that you're going through. And, you know, it's so much easier to just sit back and talk with them about things like that. So, you know, even just being able to scratch at the surface of that shows that this whole movement has been about so much more than just getting a superhero movie released. Like that's the basest level of what it is. And I'm really glad that like everyone's able to celebrate and finally get to stream the Snyder Cut because it's on HBO Max. But what has been, founded over the course of this movement is these friendships and this bond, and almost like a familial bond that I don't think is ever necessarily going to go away. There's people who feel like they are part of the Snyder Cut movement who are going to be together for the rest of their lives. And I think that's truly incredible. That's truly incredible.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I've always been a fan of like creativity. I mean, arts. I consider myself to be a creative person. I love musicians. I love music. I love anything that, is like, that can affect you personally in some way that is considered art, but I've been a hardcore fan of certain artists, but this is very different. This is like, I really never thought that I've never seen a fandom do something like this and not just get a movie released after, 4 years of campaigning.
Right.
But also, like you said, create bonds. I mean, become, even though a lot of us have never met each other in person or we live in different parts of the world, we feel like we have made friends or, in this fandom. And also the relationship between Zack Snyder, the cast, different people of the crew. There's also been a relationship forged between them and the fandom, which I think is also pretty special because I've never really seen that much interaction between a fandom and like a filmmaker or, the cast of a movie. Was that something that you also kind of explored when you were writing the book?
Definitely. And one of the things I think that we're missing out on a little bit as this community is because we're not able to gather together and celebrate this movie in a theater. Like think how many opportunities or events we would all be flocking to, to get to meet each other in person. You and I jumped on and just got to chat before we did the stream to get to know each other. But I think we'd be doing so much more of those things in person. We'd be circling a Snyder Con in Pasadena, or because this is a fan base that they travel, they can't wait to get together and experience these films with each other. And a lot of that starts at the top. It starts with Zack, and it starts with him fostering this community. And some of this, I address this in the book. I have a whole chapter about Vero and how he used that social network, as a platform to get directly to his fans. And I think that is unprecedented because you don't see other filmmakers taking the time to interact with their fans as often as they do. Zack goes around on Friday and Saturday nights and just hits streams that his fans are running, and shares all of his behind the scenes thoughts. Like this is not stuff that you don't see Christopher Nolan popping up on someone's YouTube stream. So I admire him deeply for the interactivity that he has with his fan base. And I think it's tremendous. I think I've said this a couple times, over the course of talking about the book, that if it were a different director whose film was so drastically altered,
right,
that I don't think we'd be having this conversation still 3 to 4 years later. With all due respect to Patty Jenkins and to David Sandberg. Is that who directed Shazam? I blanked on his name for a second.
David F. Sandberg, yeah.
I just don't know if it was their films that were affected that we would be seeing a rallying cry. But Zack's fans are that dedicated, as clearly, by the hashtag Restore the Snyderverse that has now become the new mantra. So,
yeah, I do think. It's also kind of interesting that you bring that up because it seems like there was like I know all filmmakers at one point or another face, challenges with the studios as far as like, things that they want to make changes to, or they give them notes, things like that. They're all going to face challenges with the studios. But it seems like when we can see, like we really saw this play out though in the movie. Like we're not usually aware of those kinds of things unless you like are, if you work in the business or you have connections to those kind of people and you kind of get some, insider information. But usually like a fan base is not really aware of that stuff. We see the movie and then we're like, oh, this is the movie they made. There might be there's deleted scenes or there's things, whatever. But we don't see like a movie marketed one way and then a completely different movie on screen.
Right.
And then Zack, like it took him a while to really start sharing stuff on Vero. But once he did, I mean, it just became more and more clear how different it really was. So eventually you spoke to Zack for your book.
I did.
Was he pretty candid about like the experience of like the challenges that he faced with the studio?
Yes. And so this goes back to earlier before I got him in order to, as an interview for the book. This is going back to the Army of the Dead set. I got to go to the set of Army of the Dead in October of 2019. Trying to get my dates right.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. No. Hold on.
It would have been. Was it this past?
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta get my dates right. September of. No, it was that far back, because it was September or October of 2019, because it was right around the time that they did the Times Square billboard. And
so it was right around when the release of Snyder Cut hashtag really.
It was before the trending event.
That.
Yeah, the trending event hadn't happened yet, but the Times Square billboard had just happened.
Okay.
Because this was around the time when I had seen Project Comic-Con happen in July of 2019, and I had seen the Times Square billboard, and then I got to go to the set of Army of the Dead, and I was contemplating writing this story, and I wanted to get a sense from Zack whether he supported the effort, whether he supported the movement, sort of deal. Because this was still very early in the stages of all this happening. And yes, the movement had been doing a lot of stuff beforehand, but this was when it was really starting to hit the mainstream and more people were starting to cover it. And I wanted to get the idea of whether Zack thought this was a really good idea, or whether he was kind of giving the message of, I appreciate what they're doing, but it's probably time to move on. I'm at Netflix now. I've got this zombie movie, and I'm gonna kind of move on. And it was during that visit when he said to me, the exact opposite, which was, I will never tell them to move on. If I tell them to move on, I feel like that's disrespectful to the work that they have done up to this point. And I don't ever want to take focus away from what they've done. And he was so candid in that moment. You talked about how candid he is about, and you've heard him speak his mind. He's obviously somebody who's going to speak his mind without any fear of repercussion. So yes, getting him for and so when I ended up getting him for the book, it was right after he had confirmed, it was right after the May 20th event of announcing the HBO Max release. So it was really encouraging and cathartic to have him talk about, crossing the finish line, essentially, and staring down all this work that now had to be done. We know an incredible amount of VFX shots that had to be finished in this short amount of time. And it was great for her. It was great to get him on that sort of celebratory victory lap sort of thing. And then he came on our podcast somewhat recently, the Ribblein podcast, and was a guest. And I asked him, like, what was that day like? Was it like Christmas Day for you?
Yeah,
also. And he said that, like, they had kind of been through it for like a day or two, so they kind of were living with the decision and they knew it was coming. But it's I'm fascinated by those stages of it, because I don't know about you, but if you paid attention to that Man of Steel stream, like, I was on the edge of my seat holding my breath of just like, is this going to be the day that we get it? So I couldn't imagine him being the one holding that secret.
I know. And I mean, when that started coming out about like, okay, there's going to be a Man of Steel watch party, people in the trades were like, however they knew, they're like, you're going to want to watch it. Like, the fans are going to be super happy. And it's like, you want to be excited about that, but then you're like trying to reserve it because you don't want to be like, I was going to be super disappointed if like this hype was built up and it was just like, we didn't get anything. When Henry came on, I felt personally like that was the big, like, okay, Henry's here. We didn't know he was going to be here.
Right.
But then Zack kind of started like messing with people. I mean, I was starting to get like legitimately sad when he was like, oh, well, if it was just up to me, I would, leave the thumb drive somewhere.
Yeah.
And let it get leaked out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I'm like, why are you saying this? Like, I'm freaking out right now.
Right.
And we kind of reeled him back in, and he's like, I reckon you should just show him. And I'm like, oh my God, something's happening. You know, it was an emotional roller coaster. I was like, stop messing with us. Like, we've been waiting all this time.
I know. And there were so many other times too. You could point to like 3 or 4 other times when it really felt like, oh, this is going to be it. So once they started coming off of just a Q&A of Man of Steel, there was a moment where I got that pang of fear of like, oh no, not again. Is this again? We got this close. So I was thrilled when it didn't happen.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I guess, just were picking like meaningful dates that could mean something, like 2/14, the first 2/14 that we all thought was going to be a big thing, you know, or any cons that were happening. And it's like we just start thinking like, oh, they have to. The release the Snyder Cut trending event was so huge. Like, there's no way they can't say anything. And that was when Ben and Gal hopped on, and then it really was just like, you know, big after that. But those dates, just, you know, we would wait, and it's like, nope, nothing. And
I know. Listen, fan bases, you know, in general, they do love to sort of speculate and think ahead.
Right.
You know, I'm currently immersed in the Spider-Man community, and they are convinced, you know, that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are popping up in the next Spider-Man movie. And if they don't, this is something that's just purely generated by fan speculation, you know? Like,
that's true.
You want to tell everybody to like temper your expectations, pump your brakes, because then I don't want them to be disappointed by a movie that doesn't, you know, if it doesn't deliver that, but it's still a great movie, I don't want their expectations to be too high. So
it can be a dangerous thing. Like, it's one of those things where like we have access to a lot of information and like behind the scenes stuff, or like being online and being, you know, like this digital fan base community. We have access to a lot of stuff that's either true or not, or you see like a fan theory and you're like, oh wow, that actually makes sense. Like, and you kind of hook onto that, like you latch onto it. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like, well, it can be like, you know.
That's exactly why I always held on to the idea that the Snyder Cut was a possibility, you know, was a realistic thing that could happen. And because it always, like you said, some of these things feel like they're realistic, they're tangible, they could actually happen. Like, if you spitball something that just feels like it's way too far into the ether and has no chance, then you understand you don't really want to put your faith behind it necessarily. But the Snyder Cut always felt like something that had the opportunity to actually come to fruition. Just this honestly came together much, much faster than I think anyone ever anticipated it happening.
That's very true. And Zack and Deborah had said like they wanted a year to finish the movie.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I guess when the announcement came, that's kind of what I expected. Like, they said 2021, and for a long time, like, we didn't know how early or late in the year it was going to be released. I thought it was going to be like at least a year. If it was going to, because then right after the announcement, it's like, oh, it's going to be 4 hours, it's going to be 6 hours, it's going to be like a series, whatever. And I was like, well, that's going to be a lot to finish. So I don't expect it like, you know, January,
right?
You know, so I was actually pretty surprised that it was like in the first quarter of the year. I didn't expect it to be that soon. So they worked their butts off to finish the movie that fast. So I gave a lot of credit to their whole team, and for free. Well, Zack wasn't getting paid for that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So when you started writing the book, and like you said, you always felt like it could be a possibility. Did you think that it would ever actually happen?
I mean, yes, for sure. You know, I always believed that it was a possibility, and that's why I kind of wanted to document all this, because I felt eventually it was going to be something that the studio would give in and release, if only because, you know, there's so many different director versions of films that eventually see the light of day. You know, whether I have 5 copies of Blade Runner, you know, that Ridley Scott puts out constantly. And you know, in time, the executives who were in place who were against this version ever coming out would eventually move on. You know, and Hollywood is a town where people change jobs constantly. And the next person coming in could very easily say, there's money to be made here with the Snyder Cut. Why are we not at least pursuing this? So I always felt somebody was going to get into place to push Zack's vision. I guess I didn't anticipate streaming services coming along and being as powerful as they are, as they were and continue to be, because it's a terrific platform for things like this to come together. But no, I wrote the book with an open-ended kind of ending that basically said, like, if this ever happens, this is probably the story of how it came together. But I had no idea whatsoever, none whatsoever, that it would happen this close to the book finishing and getting released. I really thought it would be another 10 years probably.
Yeah, Zack kind of said that too. That if it ever did happen, it would be like way down the line. I mean, like it would, and I mean, who knows what would have, I don't think we would have ever really like lost momentum with the movement, but I mean, it probably would have changed just like it changed over those, 4 years.
You can only be told no so many times though. Like I really do. I'm genuinely curious. And I know, believe me, I know the movement is going to say that they still would have fought tooth and nail. But it's really hard to push that boulder up a hill, like sooner or later you get sick of being told it's never going to happen.
Right.
And that's a huge part of the reason why I admire the persistency of the movement to even get through the three to 3.5 years that they did to get it restored. Like it's truly a remarkable thing, because in most other fan bases, in most other cases or examples of this, you see the fan base just sort of splinter and dissolve, like people have other things to do. This was not something that you guys were getting paid for, and you pat Zack on the back for finishing the movie for free, but you guys did this for 3 years for free. And you took moral victories, in all the places that you could, and you raised $500,000 for suicide prevention in the process. The whole story is remarkable. It's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's true.
Yeah, thank you for, thank you on behalf of the fandom, the fan base. I know that you are short on time, so you let me know where you are.
I can do a couple more minutes.
Couple more minutes? Okay. As Sean mentioned, the fandom, even AFSP as a charity organization, they have publicly credited the Snyder Cut fandom with, being a significant force for AFSP as far as donations and raising awareness. So that is a pretty, that's pretty, a lot of people want to say like, oh, the fan base is toxic, or they're, the studio gave into a toxic fan base, things like that. But they don't want to acknowledge that as a whole, overall, the fandom is doing positive things, and something that's very important, not just to Zack and his family, but a lot of families out there, people that have had these similar experiences. And so it's important to acknowledge that when, whether it be people at WB or just trades out there that want to say that this is a toxic fan base, we cannot ignore this. And it means a lot, I think, to the fandom that Zack always, whether he's doing an interview or he's on a live stream or whatever, he always acknowledges the good that the fan base has done.
Sure.
In addition to, yes, we always wanted the movie, but, raising money for the billboards, we were always also raising money for AFSP and things like that.
Even just awareness for the existence and the work done by AFSP is worth everything that's happened over the past 3 years. It is not an organization that I was familiar with by any means. And now I know everything about what they do. And I think that can be said about a lot of people who were casually curious about the Snyder Cut movement. Yes, you guys did a ton of stuff to raise awareness for the existence of the possible Justice League cut. But over the course of that time, you also educated a lot of people on what AFSP does and their availability and the resources that are available to people who really need it. And so nothing can ever diminish that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even some of the the few theater screenings that Zack has able to get so far, those were charity screenings. So he's really focusing a lot on that instead of, I mean, of course, we know at the end of the movie it says for autumn.
Yeah.
He's said that. Even when I read that in the article that came out before, I think it was the Variety article, the one that was really deep, and it was like a mind-blowing article.
Maybe Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. Yes, okay. Thank you. I was like, I know it's a V, not Variety. Vanity Fair. Yes. Even just reading the article, it was like when he was being more open, I think, than we've seen him being in interviews about autumn. It was like I teared up a few times reading that article, just kind of, reading what he was saying, not even actually hearing him say it. But I'm sure it was very difficult for him to talk about that. You can tell when it comes up that he's, he kind of changes his demeanor. But he has said, like, yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's really hard for him to talk about that in interviews. But in that article, he really went into, without her, like, this is happening because of her. This happened because of her.
Right.
And so I think that's, why we bring so much attention and awareness to that, because he's like thankful for that.
And this is a big part that I really admire about the movement as well, too, is that they're not saying like, okay, we got the movie, problem solved.
Yeah. Yep.
No more. There's no more mental health awareness. There's no more suicide prevention. Like, you hear from a lot of people involved in the movement who are still like, well, we're going to continue to raise funds and awareness, like this stream that's happening right now.
Right.
I admire that incredibly. It shows the fortitude of the movement and how they're not going anywhere. That it speaks to, like we were talking earlier, the bonds that have been formed by the members of this community. It feels like a huge family.
Yeah, it really does. Thank you for giving a larger voice to the fandom by writing a book, and that will always be around. Like, this was documented, this was chronicled. I won't be surprised if there is we kind of have like that little mini documentary on HBO Max right now, making the Snyder Cut, which is great. But I won't be surprised if at some point there's like a more in-depth documentary of some kind that's made.
Right. I think Zack should do it. I mean, I really would love to see. Awesome. He's got to have a ton of footage, that he could show from it. So I would love to see his point of view on all of this.
Yeah, that would be cool to see it, not just him being interviewed or something like that, but like actually show it from his perspective going through this, this whole journey.
Absolutely.
Of getting this movie out there. Yeah, that would be awesome. And I mean, I'm sure if you wrote the book, so I'm sure that would also, come into play somehow. That documented a lot of what this whole journey was for Zack, for the fandom, and all of that. So
I think it's an amazing story, and I really had a blast telling it. It was fascinating to learn so much about the movie and about the movement, and to get everyone's experiences of going through it, and then to be able to take the victory lap, with fans and celebrate them getting the movement, the cut released in time for the book to be finished is that's always going to hold a really special place in my heart. So,
yeah, I can imagine it was, perfect timing for your book to be released.
Oh gosh.
Ridiculous. Yeah, you can't, you can't do that if you tried. So
no, not at all.
Oh, I lost my thought. Oh, yes. Okay. So before we let you go, would you like to, let me just remind people out there that they released the Snyder Cut, the crazy true story behind the fight that saved Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is available on Amazon. I saw someone ask earlier if it is, I saw someone in the chat ask that, and it is on Amazon. But I know when we talked, privately, you had said that, if you're international, if you're outside of the US, some of those things are still kind of being worked out.
Yeah, just the distribution chain from other markets. It's everything's been sort of slowed down by COVID, and going through customs has become more difficult. I know that Canada finally worked out its stuff. I know Mexico worked out its stuff, and the books are starting to reach people in those areas. Other markets like Italy and the UK and India, where Zack has a huge fan base.
Yes.
Some people have had some success and have been able to find the book. There's a website called Book Depository that ships to a lot of different international locations. So I'm asking folks to be patient. I'm trying to get it out as quick as I mean, it's out of my hands. It's all in the hands of the distributors. There is a digital copy, like an ebook that you can get that's available instantly right now if you wanted to. And then on April 27th, I have an audiobook version of it that's coming that is read by George Newbern. And George Newbern is the voice of Superman in a lot of the animated Justice League cartoons. So I'm really excited for him to read the book, and hopefully people want to check that out. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Should be very fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for giving us all of that information for people who are wondering how they can get it, especially if they are international. Before you leave, not that I'm kicking you out or anything. I don't want to feel like I'm.
That's fine.
I know you're on.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I know that you're on a time restraint today.
I got to go get my first shot. I'm excited.
Yeah,
my first vaccine.
That's good. I hope you feel good.
Thank you.
Sometimes, well, I don't like shots, so I get.
No, but we have to get them.
No, yeah, I don't like the needle. I don't like needles. So anytime I'm going to get a shot, I feel, I still get anxious like I'm a kid. Would you like to share your, any just tokens of appreciation or thoughts about Zack Snyder or the movie?
The movie is it's a miracle. Like I've watched it 5 times and I still can't process the fact that it exists. It's not something that, like, I want people to understand that this is not something that the studio ever intended on releasing. They literally, so this is such a, earlier this week I wrote a column where I said to the people in the movement, and it pissed a lot of people off, that I said, it's probably time for everybody to kind of move on. Like getting the Snyder Cut released was the goal. The goal was accomplished. And like the day after, everyone enjoyed it for the weekend, the studio came out and they were just like, done. You got it. Let's all move on. And that sent a message to me that said, like, they just don't support Zack Snyder. As much as you guys are going to raise a ton of hell on behalf of Zack, they do not support Zack's vision. They don't. Even if they remotely supported it, I thought that they would come out the next, at the end of that weekend and say, like, dang, that was impressive. You guys really did it. But instead they just came out and they were like, hope you liked it. It's all you're going to get. So I wrote this piece and I said, look, it's not a healthy place for Zack to be in. He does not have the support of the studio. They don't support his creativity. Maybe it's time for everybody to move on so that he could go to another place, that he could go and find somebody who does appreciate the way that he tells stories. But over the course of a couple of days since I've written that column, and Zack has, kind of come out and made it clear that he, still supports the Restore the Snyderverse campaign. And here's what I'll say. I've learned this in writing about the Snyder Cut movement, and I've learned this much interacting with you guys on a daily basis. And I won't ever bet against you guys. I'm never going to bet against you guys because I've seen you move mountains, that are the size of continents, essentially. And anyone who thinks that you guys cannot accomplish something is dead wrong. And I look forward to you guys proving them wrong this entire time and documenting it every step of the way. That seems to be my place here, to tell your story to a larger audience. And I'm going to try my best to continue to do that.
Well, thank you. And I mean, I do understand what you're saying. Like, it seems like, Zack's been through hell and back with that studio. And, he's obviously described a different experience, like at Netflix, even with HBO Max. Like he's kind of, pointed out that they're very supportive and they've been great to work with, but he still kind of leaves that separate from like Warner Brothers when he's talking about things that they didn't want him to do, even now still that the Snyder Cut, when he was shooting additional stuff for the Snyder Cut. Yeah. So I mean, I know that he appreciates that the fandom is still like going strong and that we want to see more from him. But at the same time, I also would understand if he's just like needs a break from them, even though the movie didn't come out for 4 years, it's still like he was kind of just sitting with that, and probably wasn't the cleanest break. So, and then, he's trying to heal during that time, and it's just like it's not one of those things where he's like he had a breather from it. You know, it's just it seems like it's never going to change with this studio. Even with new people in charge in a lot of different positions, it's
the way that I view it is, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced this to a certain extent. A friend of yours, a really close friend of yours, is in a bad breakup, and they keep flirting with the idea of getting back together. And everyone on the outside is saying, like, no way, you guys are a terrible match. Do not get back together, right? Anyway, and they're like, no, they make me happy. It's going to be different this time. And you're like, no, it's definitely not going to be different. You know, you got to stop going back to them. They're not going to support what you're trying to do. Now, we had this, you and I just talked about this earlier in the conversation. Like, people leave studios all the time, and there could be another fresh creative team that comes in here and says, why the hell aren't we doing more Snyder movies? Like, do you see how many fans this dude has? And then all of a sudden things get greenlit. So that's why you never say never in this industry, you know, in any way, shape, or form. But it's going to be really curious to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be here for it. We're not going anywhere. So,
I know.
Well, thank you so much, Sean, for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you for squeezing me into your schedule. And
pleasure, Allie. Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
We'll have to do it again when we have a little bit more time.
Okay. Sounds good.
You know, talk about our thoughts on the movie and stuff like that. You know.
Well, good luck with the rest of the stream. I really love what you're doing, and this is fantastic.
Thank you so much. You be safe going to your appointment, and we'll catch up with you another time. So thank you so much for being here.
That was me doing fingers crossed. I can't cross my fingers, so I have to do it with my thumb. Fingers crossed that everything goes well.
Yes.
All right. Take care. Bye, Allie. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, our next guest has been waiting patiently backstage, and so I really appreciate her waiting. I know a lot of you were excited about her, about both of my guests when I announced them on Twitter and YouTube. So let's go ahead and bring her in. She's been waiting patiently. Don't want to make her wait anymore. Liz Wonder is here with us. Hi.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Just a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel you. Let me tweet out real quick that you're here. I keep trying to tweet it and it keeps going away because it's like sitting here waiting. Thank you so much for being here. I know that I got you on short notice, and so I appreciate you putting this into your schedule. I know that you have your own channel that you do. You have all your own stuff that you know, you're not just dressing up all the time, like you're actually doing stuff. So I know that you are busy.
No, don't worry.
And I know that you are also a mom. So I know how that is when I'm trying to do streams or I'm trying to do stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate it. I really do. Let me get this out there real quick so people know that you're here.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm sure people know they've been looking forward to it. Oy. Twitter has not been my friend lately. It's just not working very well. So I see speaking of dressing up, I see your beautiful, I'm not going to call them costumes. I'm going to call them suits because I feel like they are more, they're that good. They're not just like a costume. They're beautiful.
They're pretty intense. They look heavier than what they are, actually. Everybody always thinks it's so heavy, but it's so light. It's foam. So, you know, that's why the other one is like falling forward because it's so light. I have no way to kind of like make it straight.
I wouldn't have thought that by looking just from right here, or even in any of your pictures and stuff. I wouldn't think that. They seem like they're more like, I wouldn't say armor,
like metal,
but like heavier duty.
Like they look intense. They look more intense than they actually are.
I know. Like, how does she take all these incredible pictures? Like, it doesn't look very comfortable to take pictures in. But that makes sense now that you say that that's great that they're able to. I mean,
foam does get really hot though. So it's intense. So I can only wear it for a certain amount of time. But yeah, I can get, and in Florida especially, it's just humid and hot all the time. So,
I used to go to Florida a lot growing up, and I mean, I loved it. It's one of my favorite places. But yeah, I live in dry heat. I grew up in like dry heat. So when you go to humidity, it's like a completely different, it feels totally different from, it's like a totally, you're like, oh my God, it's so hot here. But you're like just moist.
Sweating. Yeah.
It's
very
totally
different. And your hair is just like all over the place.
Yeah.
Humidity
Makeup doesn't stay. It's like my eyelashes don't stay curled or nothing like that. It's like my hair is on point. It likes the moisture, but then no, everything else is just like, no, we don't like this. But I do love it though. I would rather live in a tropical place than where I live.
Where do you live?
In
what
Texas.
State? Oh, okay.
Texas. But I'm not like, I'm right next to New Mexico. So I'm like, I don't get like thankfully, I don't get like if there's a hurricane or if there's, like kind of like where Houston will, they'll kind of get things like that still, even though they're in Texas. I'm not close to any of the water. So, we'll get rain or something like that if things like that happen. But yeah, it's just, it's like, it's just a completely different spot in Texas compared to everywhere else. So yeah, it'd be nice to have more water, but I guess I guess it's just one of those things where like some people love where they grew up and they feel like that's their place. I never really felt like that. I would go to the beach or go someplace with water and I'm like, oh, this is where this is where I want to be. But, it's nice to visit anyway.
Yeah.
So before we get on with our discussion, just a reminder to everyone in the chat or watching that the AFSP link is in the description. You can find it there if you need to use it for yourself. Share the link, donate. That is there in the description. All right, so just keep that in mind. Again, we want to thank Liz Wonder for joining us today. So we know that, well, if anyone who's here probably knows you as the Wonder Woman cosplayer. Is that the first character that you really started to cosplay?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Was this before Gal Gadot took on the role? Or was she your main inspiration for taking on that character?
Yeah, so it's funny because before Gal Gadot was in the screen, my favorite Justice League character was Hawkgirl. And if I would have known about cosplay back then, I would have selected Hawkgirl. I didn't really know about cosplay or the whole cosplay community. I was raised very academically oriented, and I was in the university just focusing on my career. And I came to the US when I was 16. So the whole concept of Comic-Cons, I didn't really grow up knowing them. And it wasn't until later on in my life that, well, first of all, let me go back. I always saw Wonder Woman with her, per se, American flag outfit, blue eyes, just like the way Susan portrayed her in the animated series. And so I mean, Hawkgirl was my favorite. She was just, I connected more with her character, with how she was. It wasn't until Zack brought in Gal, which is funny because she got so much hate at the beginning from so many people, and they were like, oh, this and that. And, I never like to hate on something or someone until I don't see their work. And even though if I don't like it, I'm not going to trash a person based on an appearance. And so I love Zack Snyder from before. He did amazing movie. I mean, Watchmen, you have 300. And I kind of trusted his judgment. And when I see Gal just coming out, and she looks so different, first of all, from the Fast and Furious. There's something that happened with her physically that just changed completely. And it just blew my mind because I always saw Wonder Woman, I never seen a movie focused on Wonder Woman. And I see her just there. And I always say it right in front of Superman and Batman, who they have so many movies and so much history. And I just see her, and the suit is so beautiful, and her hair, her eyebrows. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
My dad was like, you guys look alike. You have similar features. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Move on. Like I never really,
You're like,
I'm like, thank you. Sometimes I get people commenting on, oh, you look like Natalie Portman, or you look like this. People love to compare you with someone, but I never really thought of anything beyond cool. She's awesome. Thank you so much. It wasn't until I went to San Diego for work. It wasn't even for Comic-Con, and they were happen to have San Diego Comic-Con, which is a huge event, and you don't really need tickets to experience the chaotic energy that this Comic-Con is. So I remember all the streets being closed where I was staying at, and people dressed up, and nobody cared about what you were wearing. So everybody, I mean, I saw things. I saw like this 5 guys wearing Princess Leia's slave outfit and just like drinking and having fun. I'm like, what is that? This is so funny. And they were taking pictures, and everybody was just having a great time. And then I'm like, this Comic-Con, and I stopped a couple of girls. Some of them were Wonder Woman cosplayers. And one of them is like, oh my gosh, are you a cosplayer? Like I thought, you look so much like Gal, and she's here in San Diego and this and that. And I was like, thank you. And then, so basically I was in the plane. I was just like, this Comic-Con really made an impact on me, because it wasn't just during the day. It's also at night. There were parties, and I met so many random people that I connected with. I've always been a nerd, and I'm like, there's a community of other people like me.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to one. I mean, I need to go inside. And so I started Googling, and I saw one that was in TampaCon, which it was one of the bigger ones for Florida. And I told my friend, I was like, hey, the one character that really inspired me, that I was like, this is so cool, and I could probably transform a little better, it would be Wonder Woman, and you can be Harley Quinn. We're like, yeah, let's do it. It was just like a spontaneous, fun idea. And we got there, and my suit was just like Halloween bots suit. But I had this little girl follow me for like 45 minutes throughout the whole con. She was just like looking at me, hiding behind her mom, looking at me. And the mom is like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's okay. And then finally she kind of came to me. We hugged. I started loosening up, and I saw so many other cosplayers getting to me, and it became like a little bug. And that's when I said to myself, what can I do to kind of make this something I could give back to the kids? It's fun. And from there, it developed into something that I took into charitable area more than the cons. The cons were like a prop of, I started to know friends, and they're like, hey, there's this convention, small ones, Florida convention here. Let's hang out, this and that. But my suit, one of the first suits I ever commissioned, I remember I got my bonus for work, and I'm like, I'm turning 30 and I want to do something crazy and fun. And I told my husband, I'm like, can I just get like a solid suit? We'll do fundraisers. We'll go to see the kids and this and that. And he totally supported it. And he's like, just do it. Like life is to have fun and take new opportunities. And then during doing that, I came across the Release the Snyder Cut movement, which was standing behind a cause. So for me, it's always been about a cause behind things that I support and I jump into. So I know it's long, but I feel like it's a story that's like developing into that's why.
Yeah. And that's why, I brought you on to tell your story, so don't feel bad. But tell as much as you want.
I'm like, I'm talking too much.
No, don't feel that way at all. It's awesome to hear, because it's cool to hear that like you kind of started doing that when Gal was cast, but then when you came across the Snyder Cut movement, you kind of already had, similar goals as to why they kind of married the two, what the Snyder Cut movement was doing and what you were doing. So it felt like a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. And then after that, is that when you kind of started seeing more, I don't want to use the word attention, but is that when you kind of started getting more, I guess you could call them fans?
Yeah, so I mean, social media is crazy, right? I did it for fun at the beginning, and I did my little things. I have my little friends here and there, and I got to work with Gig Vice, who are friends of mine, to help me promote this fundraiser I was doing for Baptist Children's Home, who I always help before doing cosplay. And we did a little video. Hi guys, stay wonderful, like a little promo thing. And my other friend is like, hey, let's take pictures with your suit professionally. No more selfies, no more, you know. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. So we went to this beach, and I just stood by some rocks, and he's like, just do poses. And all I could think about was, okay, Zack Snyder, Wonder Woman. What would she do? Be angry. Be angry. Be strong. It's like, put the eyebrows, because it's funny how like I have total control to make them angry. So it's weird sometimes.
I have noticed that in your pictures, and I'm like, I can't do both. Like if I use a lot of
I can totally like do like the eyebrows. It's weird. It's like, and also it's not like I look like her all the time. Is when you wear the suit, when you do your hair, when you do the makeup to contour yourself to look like Al, when you do certain angles and eyebrow poses and mouth movements, then you become the character. It's together. Not, because people tell me like, oh, do you dress up like Gal Gadot? I'm like, no, I don't cosplay Gal Gadot. Like, let's move that out of the way.
Yeah, that's like, I still have a normal life.
Yeah, that's impersonators. That's like people that do that. Yes. I don't like that. I think mental health is so important, and I think that could lose. You could lose yourself into your personality. So for me, it's just Wonder Woman, and I transform into her Wonder Woman. You know, so there's a big difference. And so those rock pictures went viral thanks to the crazy internet. And I'm like, I was in CBR and like, a bunch of websites, articles in Chinese, Russian. I'm like, what happened? Overnight, it was just like this cosplayer. Because, it was all an art into putting different pieces together. The photographer, the location, the suit. Oh, that's like the new one. That's the updated one. Because my other one, I used it for 2 years. I mean, it's still good, but I gave it to one of my best friends because she wanted to cosplay Wonder Woman so bad. And so I bought a couple of other suits, and I was like, hey, I need to add the new Justice League one, update it. So that's the new one. But it just happened to be a crazy moment. And then I got to work with Vero and Clay Enos, who it's the photographer for Zack and his movies. And it's all surreal to me. I was so humbled by all of this. Like I didn't do this to become famous, or it was just like pure social media and how crazy it could get. And then you have like, people want you to do more, and you see their passion, and you're like, they message you, hey, could you do this? It would mean a lot if you did a post like this. Could you copy this variant cover? And I'm like, sure. I'm just, I'm thankful for it. And thanks to that, I was able to kind of just develop my cosplay and my creativity. It helped me so much. I always been lost in my life with a passion. I never really had a passion. I was always like, my husband likes sports. He always likes something. And he's like, there has to be something you like. You like photography, which I used to take some pictures just for fun at the zoo or at the beach. Just like, but this was a huge blessing, because no matter how old you are, no matter what stage in your life you are, your passion might come at a random time, and you just got to.
Yeah. Oh, are you there, Liz? Uh-oh. Did we lose you? I'm not sure. Let's see. Maybe she froze. I'm not sure if you can hear me, Liz, but oh, wait, there you are. What happened? I'm not sure what happened. Oh no. Maybe, let's see. Let me send her a message. Technical difficulties, guys. I'm sorry. Stuff happens, with streaming. Happens, it happens. What's up, Nicotine? I see you in the chat. Thanks for being here. Again, if you guys are just joining us, oh, let me see what happened here. Let me bring her back in really quick.
I'm sorry.
Here? No, it's okay. It's okay.
My was broke and I had to use my cell phone. I'm like, I'm gonna use my cell phone. I don't know why.
No. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. The laptop just acting up, and I'm like, what's going on?
It happens. Technology. It always wants to. It's like when you need it the most.
Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I guess I just changed into my cell phone. That was
yeah. I was like, oh no, we lost her.
No, I don't know what I was saying.
You were talking about how you finally found like something that you were passionate about.
Oh yeah. And I just feel like, as I'm talking, I'm gonna put it in my little tripod. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
No. Don't apologize.
It happens.
Please don't apologize. It definitely happens.
Yeah, I just think that, you no matter where you are in life, your passion will randomly just come to you. And I think, really like something, you'll succeed doing anything you set your mind to it if you really are passionate about it and doing it for the right reasons,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess, it's important that I like your point about how some people think like, oh, you're just always, dressed up as Gal or, another. I mean, I guess you do other characters, but I guess that's,
That's my main. That's the one they requested. Yeah. That's the one people get pumped about.
Yeah.
And it's very healthy community that I've achieved to have. It's a lot of cleaning, a lot of, trying to keep it positive, trying to not post anything that goes against what my public persona is. Like, it's just, there's certain things I focus on charity. So if I go around doing stuff that companies that do charity don't like, I would lose opportunities, which is not who I am. I would never do it anyways. But I'm saying like, that's just, you have to be very careful and organize yourself. Like, is this something I like? How am I going to do this? And what am I going to focus on? So my main focus is to get some positive stuff out there, some changes, something that I could do with my own self. Like, do my best to do that.
Absolutely. No, I think it definitely comes across. And, how you were talking about, you're not an impersonator. So you don't try to live the life of a certain celebrity or, something like that. Because that's a very different thing. There's people that will do impersonations, but they they live their life that way. And, they get mistaken for, certain people in public or, it's just they're constantly in that mode. Like, it's not even really a character to them anymore. It's just like they're trying to actually live as a certain, celebrity or something like that. And like, I like that you made that distinction because that's, this is, I think, like you said, not to bash people that do that or anything like that.
No.
But, since we are talking about mental health and mental health awareness and things like that, I think, like you said, that can be damaging because you're still yourself.
And also
doing cosplay, but you get into that character.
There's a lot of stress that comes with it and a lot of too that you have to deal with. And I think the internet is just full of toxic people that love to just sit behind a screen and bash women. And I see it with myself, with cosplayer girls, and it's just really, really bad. It can take a toll on you. Sometimes, like, I remember I was very hormonal after giving birth. It's just, this is something that women have the blessing of being able to give birth to a human life. Yeah. And so, you go through a lot of hormones and things and that. And I remember it was DC fandom happened like a month or two after. And like the amount of comments like fat women and this and that and comparing my body to Gal, it's just, it was very emotionally draining, to be honest. And it's things that I don't talk about because I try not to bring attention to it. But yeah, it's just something that if you compare yourself to a celebrity too much, they can start being things that you start hating about yourself, about your body, about who you are, about your, like, and put yourself out there, and you can't really control what people say, but at the same time, it's like you could be having a bad day and that just gets to you, that one comment that you're like, So I just try to spread positivity. I blocked anybody that says anything negative. I always report them.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant job. It's not just posting pictures. Like I do behind the scenes, and I don't tolerate bullying at all. And I think I have a lot of young girls and young boys that follow my account, and I wouldn't want them to be reading these things. So it's become, I don't want to say a job, but it's become a responsibility, I would say, cosplaying Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because, I'm sorry to hear that you had, people being
it happens and
hurtful. Yeah, especially at a time like that when, yes, as women, like, we are, as mothers, that's a time in our life where we're like, overwhelmed with a bunch of different emotions right after you have a baby.
Just like mostly bloated, just feeling just like not yourself, just giving yourself.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. I don't share my private life online. I don't share pictures of my husband, of my baby. I don't share I was pregnant. I deal with it because I know like it was a big change, and I never really paid attention to this. I'm just mentioning it because of mental health and because being a woman in this fandom, especially the Snyder Cut fandom, has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, ever.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope that, I hope the positive support has outweighed the, the negative. I hope. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's okay. This is a safe space, I promise.
Well, because it's not just me, right?
Right.
It's a lot of us women. And I think about the comments I saw for the Nerd Queens and other women that gave so much. I can't talk. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's really okay. It's okay.
To see how toxic social media can be is just painful.
Yeah. It is. And, people feel like, they can say it's easier for people to say those kind of things, behind a screen or behind a keyboard. And unfortunately, they feel, like, to me, I don't understand people that will purposely choose to be that way for something that they don't enjoy, something they don't support, something they're not interested in. Like, for me, I mean, if you're not interested in this, or you're not supportive of this, or you don't, not just supportive, but like if you're not interested, then just leave it alone.
Right. And
like, I don't understand why people have to purposely like go to something to dislike it or to leave a bad, hateful comment, or, if something's offensive, then I understand people like giving their like opinion like this is offensive, this is blah, blah, blah. But I mean, just for no reason to be that way for someone or something that you don't know, that you don't have interest in, like just leave it alone and like do what you're interested in. Like look at things that you like,
Yeah, and I saw this even through Zack himself, like going through a tragedy and seeing comments that are, I'm not going to read them, but I was like,
no, yeah.
Why not? My cosplay, my goal is to focus on positivity and bringing, some sort of just difference in social media, like trying to snap out of it, I don't know, like I'm by my, like you're doing a great job at it. I see the Nerd Queens and Meg just like doing a job too. And it's just, we got to continue fighting and being a part of this fandom. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy. It is a battle indeed. And then, it's not just beyond tweeting about it. It's fighting with people that no, because Zack doesn't understand women. Zack puts women off and like naked, and it's just like it's exhausting, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a lot going on. And I'm sorry, I like cry.
No. Don't. Please don't feel bad.
We're just open talking, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know, it's hard, and you put a face of like Wonder Woman is so strong, and like you can take anything, but there's a human behind it. So it's Gal, you know,
yes,
there's behind the character. The things
yes.
I tell her, like when she didn't tweet about release a Snyder Cut or whatever, it was like some comments were hurtful to her, you know?
Yeah, some people really take that too far.
Yeah.
You know, some people, oh, so-and-so, oh, this cast member is not, oh, this cast member is not, this cast member is not. And it's like, well, I think they've made it pretty clear that, you know, who and what they support versus who they don't.
Right.
I think we kind of know by now, like, oh, just because there's a hashtag, you know, trending event, or there's something big going on, like, oh, they're not tweeting it, oh, they're not putting it on Instagram. Like, well, you know, I think it's made obvious by now.
I was sad when Henry didn't tweet. I was like, oh my God, Henry. Like, and then they posted. I'm like, but you know, you never call him things. You know, you could be sad, you could be dislike something, but not be so, you know, disrespectful. That's the word, disrespectful, which is
it does really go sometimes into that realm where people are just, you know, we don't want to, you know, we don't want to say that the whole fandom and stuff like that is toxic, but there's like some people who do kind of take it a little bit too far. And there's always going to be those kind of things in fandoms. But like, that's why, you know, things like what we're doing today, and people like you who want to, you know, we want to keep the positive side and, you know, just try to, like you said, ignore the people that are being negative or being hateful for whatever reason. You know, there's no reason for that. You know, we're not trying to offend people. We're not trying to be, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's supposed to be a positive thing. There's no reason to purposely be rude or mean about things like that, you know?
It's the world that we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I mean, like you were saying, the social media and how we're very, you know, involved with things like that. I mean, most people are, but especially if you're part of a certain community or fandom, and, you know, people like yourself that are cosplayers, or they, you know, have a big audience, which I know it's a positive thing because that's how you are able to reach more people and things like that. But then at the same time, you know, there's always going to be that ugly side that, you know, as much as you don't want things like that to bother, you know, sometimes they do. Like, we're human, we're vulnerable, you know, you don't want to seem, you want to feel like, you know, okay, I'm trying to do good. Why do people take it the wrong way? I'm not doing anything bad or positive, you know?
Yeah. Because I like, the only reason I brought it up is like people see it like, oh, she's so lucky. She looks like her. And like, you know, it's a nice picture, and then that's it. Like, people don't see beyond what they don't want to see. And I am surrounded by a group of amazing individuals that are cosplayers and friends, and they know this, and I don't need validation in that sense. And I'm strong because I know these things, and it's there's way more behind the scenes, and the grind is real. And you know, going out, like doing a photo shoot at my house, like at 12 a.m. when the baby's sleeping, like, it's just things that people don't see, but I can do it. Now talk about someone that's cosplaying, let's say 15-year-old, and she gets those comments, she gets that. And this is something that Afsp is so important, because I the amount of DMs that I get about suicide, and friends that have tried to, you know, I don't talk about it, but it's crazy. In the cosplay community, there is a lot of that, a lot, and they get so much hate. And I want to make a change with that. Obviously, I feel sometimes like I'm not doing enough. I need to do enough. But I feel like if a lot of people do this, like you're doing, raising awareness, and that's one of the main reasons I stood behind the movement, because I know people that because of cosplay have gone through this, and it's you know, and cosplay at the same time has been their fixing, their passion that helped them get out of that. So there's a big link with the DCU, Zack bringing superheroes to life to raise awareness to AFSP and to cosplay. And all of this is a circle that is absolutely connected, you know, and that's why I feel so deeply involved in the movement. And I feel like it's a duty that I have.
Yeah, you definitely, I think, set a good example. I know that, you know, I'm sure that sometimes it feels like you're saying a huge responsibility. You know, it's not fair for people to expect you or anyone else in cosplay to be perfect, you know, no matter how big your audience is or anything like that. It's like you said, there's so much work that goes on behind it. You know, you're not just, you know, you're, I mean, let's just look at, I'll put your pictures up again. You really do beautiful work.
You know, it's funny because sometimes I go out and like, he says, "Oh, you look like the lady that played Wonder Woman," and I'm like, "Who? Are you freaking kidding me right now? You're not gonna say that you cosplay?" I'm like his eyes say everything. He's like, I'm like, it's like call something. I'm like, call something. I get so shy,
and people are probably like, "Oh,
I get
okay."
so funny.
That's pretty funny. To have fun with that. You really do beautiful work.
That was in my backyard.
That's awesome. Yeah, you really do have beautiful things that you put out that it looks like, you know, you could tell the work you put into it. I really love this Nightmare, this cross between Wonder Woman and Nightmare Batman. That is so awesome. It's really, yeah, I love it.
That was
really cool.
I was like, I hope she's in the Nightmare. And then I'm like, whoop, never mind. But I am doing a cosplay, and I could say here it's Wonder Woman as Ares, and it's going to be ready in almost 2 weeks or so. And you know, I have horns and everything. I think it's so cool because Zack has so much going on out there. There's a storyboard pictures from Jim Lee, and I'm like, I saw that. I mean, can I talk about that, or is that a secret? No, right?
No, no. I mean, he put them out there, and he said, like, you know, these are not spoilers because the movie has changed a lot since then. The one that he's not going to share, I guess we won't know. But like those, you can talk about that.
Yeah, I saw this drawing by Jim Lee of Wonder Woman with the Ares helmet and like just stabbing Superman, and I'm like, yo, this is so like I was like, this is so I'm working on that. I'm like, I need to do that. And that's Batman. I love Batman, and
I love that you did Ben Affleck's Batman suit. I mean, let me see if I can find another picture. I know you have a picture from the front where you could like really see. Here we go. It's a gorgeous suit.
Thank you. This is Jake Curtis Atelier, and he's literally making a huge difference when it comes to female empowerment. And he's making all these male suits. I was like, you're the cosmaker from Earth 11, where everybody's and he's making Superman, female Batman, and like all these crazy suits. And I'm like, this is super cool. This is version 1 of the one that he wanted me to like try on and play with, because I have another one coming out. And so I told him, like, for my body, I want this different and that different. But that right there, it was the first version he did. And now if you see his work, his wife, like, and he's made so many other cosplays that are making a difference. Muscle suits in women. It's so rare. You don't get that, you know. It's a strength. It is just strength and power. And you don't you just see so much with just muscle and fully covered. You can give so much more. you know, and I love that. He blew my mind. I love working with him. He's one of the winners for the Zack Snyder's Justice League contest on Vero, and he won as a creator, as a cost maker, because Zack follows him. He loves his work, and I'm like, you're making a difference. And he's making my Carrie Kelly now. It's coming probably this week.
Awesome.
So I'm super excited.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, that is awesome. You don't really see.
It's so cool. And I was at my house, like, doing the voice, the Batman voice.
Yeah, I was like, you don't, like you said, like, you don't see cosplay suits like that for girls. And it just, it was, and it's just so, I mean, I love Ben Affleck's Batman suit. So to see, I was like, you wouldn't even, I mean, I guess my mind would have never gone there. Like, oh, like this could look awesome, you know, on a woman too. And it does.
I was like, you need to do next an Aquaman one for me. I want to do a female Aquaman. Like, it's just so cool, the things that he came up with. I love it. Oh, that right there, I have a makeup.
I love that. Yeah, it looks awesome.
It's so funny.
Catwoman.
Go from like fierce to like.
Oh. Uh-oh. Something happened. We lost her again. Oh, there she is. Did I do that?
I don't know what happened. I'm back. Like Terminator.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, like I was saying, I mean, we know that Wonder Woman is your main cosplay character. So we see that you're doing, you know, you've done, we see you as Harley Quinn, Cheetah. This is pretty awesome.
Right. I love it. Cosplay is so much fun.
Did it take a while to do your makeup?
That was
that one.
So, Adi Rodriguez, she's an amazing, talented makeup artist, and she does crazy cosplay stuff. She does She-Hulk, and she's just incredible. She did the COVID test, and she quarantined for like 3 days, and she came over to sleep over.
Oh wow!
For a whole weekend, and I remember like at 12 o'clock at night, she goes, we should do Cheetah on you. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 12. I'm so tired. What energy? Where are you getting this energy? And my like, the baby's asleep. You go have fun. Make yourself a shot of espresso and just do it. And so she started doing my makeup like at 12. And we ended up taking pictures and doing some TikToks, but I was like so tired. I'm so used to this anymore. Came out. It was like most of the time there at nighttime.
Wow.
In my house.
That's a cool story. So you, I mean,
story behind, okay? It's just like, it's not like fancy. I had my robe, so I did my makeup with time and like, you know, video and the France thing. No, it was just like literally like crazy night, a crazy night. It was just funny.
So you had the suit already and the wig?
80 had it. So she cosplays.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, then you do Wonder Woman. And then after I was done, I called her, put the Wonder Woman suit. I'm like, I'm so tired. And we took the pictures together, and everybody's like, wait, what's going on? Like, I thought that was 80, and this is you. And it was just funny. It's fun. I mean, I wish COVID is over. I have all my best friends. They all like cosplay. It's so much fun.
Oh, and here we have the gold suit.
The gold, yes.
I remember when I think I had seen like when you were kind of teasing, like I think you showed maybe a part of the boot or you showed something when you first got it. And I was like, this is going to be beautiful.
Crazy. Like this Team Keon Lee, she makes incredible stuff. And she's the one that I'm like, hey, I want to do stuff because I like working with cost makers. There's so many talented people out there. But and I always like to see their work through a period of time, right? So I looked up her stuff, and she makes incredible things. She's the one that designed all the Wonder Woman suits, and this golden armor is honestly, I have to do a video of how I put it on because it has like 5 pieces. So you have the belt.
I was wondering that.
And another one on top, and it becomes like the suit, you know. It's very, and then I was gluing the legs with my husband Funniest thing, I bought this mannequin just for legs, and then the legs had something in the back, so I couldn't really put the legs. So I had to put syringe wrap around my legs, put leggings, and then put the suit, because the glue that I was using is super strong, and so I glue my legs with where it goes, because honestly all the pieces come together, so I have to put them in place with it on, and then I syringe wrap myself again. Syringe, is that right? The cling wrap.
Like saran wrap,
Saran wrap, syringe. And stay like that for literally almost an hour and a half. My circulation, I was like, I can't feel my, no, I can't feel it. I'm okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Like, is this like getting my circulation? So it was just another story of a late night with me, no movement, just like getting these legs. And the photo shoot was the next day. So I was like, it needs to work, please.
Oh my goodness.
It did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So when you have all of it on, I mean, do you have to do that every time, just to like every time, or was that just the first time that you got it?
That was the first time I got it. These are the pictures I've taken with it. I kind of put it away because it was all Snyder Cut, you know. Eventually, but it's such a hassle to like get all of it ready, and so I do that. I have a lot more pictures in this saved from it, but I figure like I save them for later.
Yeah.
The helmet, you know, people are looking at me like, what are you, C3PO? Or like, if you don't know what Wonder Woman is, walking in Miami, where it's hot, people are like,
oh my gosh,
wearing this like,
you're like C3PO. Wish he looked like this.
I was like, you know, it's funny because they're like the Amazons know so many languages. I'm like, I'm literally C3PO. Like there's out of place. I look so out of place. It's like I'm going to come out in some random viral, like making fun of me, like what Miami thing, but nobody cares.
It looks, but it looks like a cool location. I mean,
but surrounded me, there was like so many people, and like away. Obviously, you know, you get a spot and people don't even want to go close to you because they're like, what are you doing? Like they skip through you. So it looks like I own the streets, but I was literally like, I was just scaring them away. And I had like a group of people, Jerry Castell, who is the one that did my pictures by the rocks. He's the one that took these pictures too, and my husband and this other girl, and with like things, and it was just really funny, just so random.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot for the suit. Like the location works really well with the suit.
Backdrop, it looks things, right? It's so
it's a great location for that suit specifically. Like it looks like there's like you're just all by yourself. Like you wouldn't think that there's like a bunch of people.
Like people that don't care. You're literally about to take a picture. They see you posting. They see and they go around, but they just go right in front. And I'm like, thanks. Like it's just a lot. It's a lot. It was many hours wearing that suit out in the heat. But it worked. I'm not gonna complain. Obviously, it's my hobby, and this was fun. It sounds like I'm complaining, but it's just funny stories that when you think about it, you're like, oh my God, what was I doing in the middle of Miami in the heat with the suit?
No, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really, you can say you think you sound like you're complaining, but like there's gonna be, like we just see the picture and we're like, oh my God, that's beautiful, that looks awesome. But like, you know, there's like, no, like I mean, yeah, I like how it came out, but like it took a lot just to get that, you know?
Right, like do it mostly in my backyard. This is in my backyard. I have a white, I tell everybody that does cosplay, like get yourself from Lowe's or Home Depot, one of those panel sheets that are white, and just put it in the back. I learned that from Clay Enos. Clay uses a lot of backdrops, and he's in the middle of like nowhere, and he just adds it, and you can take pictures. People can crop you out, and you can have a cool edit. I love that, so I had to do this.
No, it looks beautiful. I love the cloak, the cape. Yeah, the headpiece. It looks awesome. And then in this one, you have like more on your arm.
Yeah, because it's
more armor.
I love Flashpoint Paradox, and so I wanted to do it. So I got to like get, I forgot the name in English of this. It's like it starts with a C, whatever. My English is so bad. But I painted it, and then I got the Mara crown, which is it's the movie and the comic where she cuts Mara's head off, and I'm like,
and then she puts her
cool. Like I never seen that. The Flash movie, and having, you know, and I was like, Warner Brothers is not gonna have the, you know,
oh no,
to do Wonder Woman cutting Mara's head. I'm gonna do it.
No,
things that like the studio can't do. So with my costume, the things that I see from the comics and the comic books and the, you know, I will try my best to do it with cosplay for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome because this is so like it's a awesome representation of that, you know. It's cosplay, yeah, but like it's very, I mean, it feels real.
I like it.
You know, and that's one of those stories that's like shocking, you know, when you see that movie. You're like, oh wow, okay, like we know Wonder Woman is a warrior. We know that she kills things and people, but like, whoa.
That's one of the things people tend to just think she's all peace and love, and I'm like, if you look, you will find where it's, you know, and that's one of the things about Zack Snyder's Justice League that I love. Like many of the scenes, for example, the one where she's standing on top of in London on top of Lady Justice, and she's
I love that too.
On the sword side, holding the sword side, because you have the balance and the sword, and that right there is like, it tells you this time she's not choosing justice, she's choosing battle. You know what I mean?
No,
and
yeah,
touching the sword, and you're just like, oh, sometimes about to go down. You know, and Wonder Woman has that, and I love that how multi-dimensional this character can be, from being super sweet to being just crazy aggressive, insane. Like she always will kick ass if the situation calls for it. That's why I love her.
Yeah, and I think like Zack has really done a good job of showing that, even in just that one scene where she saves the kids from the terrorists, and we see her when she's fighting, like she's, I mean, you know, like you said, she's choosing battle. She's not choosing like this necessarily peaceful, non-violent method. She just, I mean, she's, yeah, and I love that. We see her, and then, but right after, she's being, you know, these girls are looking at her like, wow, this is like, you're amazing. Like, you know, I love the dialogue between her and the little girl that stays on the floor. And, you know, he really shows that balance just in that scene alone, you know, and I love that we got to see her like that, because I know some people, I mean, they'll have issue with her, you know, killing. And it's like, well, she has a sword, first of all. I mean, what are you going to do with that? Not that it's, you know, she should just be like, she's not a cold, heartless, you know, murderer or anything like that, but like, she's a warrior. I mean, that's what her whole island of women are. They're warriors. And I mean, you mean to tell me that if, you know, it was you or your child in that room, you wouldn't be like, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you would kind of, if you could do what she did, like you would do what she did to those people. But then she's, you know, inspirational to these little girls that are seeing her like being super powerful and protecting them and not being afraid. Just the Amazons in general in that movie are, I mean, of course, I think most of us can say that we get chills or goosebumps when we see the, you know, we have no fear. That is like, I love that so much. Every time I see it, I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. I love that so much.
Sparta moment, kind of. Like, it's just one of those things that it's in the movie. And it's funny that Zack did the 300 movie, but it's like this, Sparta, like, we have no fear. It's like the same energy, the same vibe, and it's something that everybody loved when it came out. It's like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I mean, we get to see really all of them, you know. And I mean, I think more in the first Wonder Woman movie, we see a little bit more of that, but compared to 84, but
compare, like, this movie brought back the emotions that I felt when I first saw BVS. Like,
yes,
almost like, I love Wonder Woman film. It's my favorite, but it almost like made it go after. You know, it's almost like a side story, which it is. Like her story.
It's a little separate,
Like, oh my gosh, it's so equal to what we see in BVS. Her dresses, the way she dresses, it's the same continuation of Zack's mentality, because he wanted her to be as elegant, badass, like from warrior to like just, and I love that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I brought back everything I felt for that specific way of portraying Wonder Woman.
Yes, definitely.
Got it, you know?
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like you said, even how she's dressed when she's not in her Wonder Woman suit, you know, you're like, you know, wow, like, yeah, if you saw her walking around, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd be looking like, not in a bad way, but she's like, you know, like in a good way, like, wow, she's regal, she's elegant, you know, she demands attention in a good way. And so, yeah, I really love how he portrays her like that too, that she's even when she's making the tea with Alfred, and, you know, and he's like, I think I love that because they're both so like themselves. Like, he can't help but like try to serve her, you know, and she's like, no, I'm fine. Like, I got it. You know,
such a cool little scene. And like at the end, he brings her the tea. He's so persistent, you know.
He still does it for her. Yeah.
And hey, don't get me wrong. I love Wonder Woman film. It's beautiful. I think Patty did great. And 84. A lot of people give a lot of hate. And I think, you know, it's almost like a side story, like a side little fun story that unfortunately, and it bothered me that it didn't really continue with Zack's. You know, it was kind of like separate. However, I did love the movie. I watched all of the Linda Carter's old school Wonder Woman shows, and I think that's what it was meant to do, to honor Linda. And I think it's very respectful of them to do that, to introduce Cheetah, and it was fun. But 84 was kind of like a fun family movie, versus Snyder Cut Wonder Woman was like emotional, deep, like, oh my god, like, this is Wonder Woman, like crazy BVS, like how, you know. And so it's black and white, and she portrays both perfectly. Gal's the perfect Wonder Woman. Like, there's nobody else besides Linda that would ever portray her. Linda's so sweet, but she did kick ass back then.
Yeah, and I agree. I like the way that they gave her, you know, she had her moment in the Wonder Woman 84 movie where they're paying respect to her. I thought it was a cool way to incorporate her into the movie. You know, I thought, like, you know, that how she was connected to this story was a cool homage that they gave to her.
Yeah.
And, but
it's like, oh, this is so cool. When the flying jet.
Yeah, I know. I liked that too. I think some people took issue with how she made it invisible, but I liked it. I liked it too. I guess it'd have been cool to see her do it again with something. I guess that's what people were like, oh, we don't see her do it again. But it's like, I was wondering how they were going to do the invisible jet. So I liked the way that they, you know, that they did that. And I guess in the future, it'd be cool to see her use that power now that we know she has it, you know. But yeah, I think she really does have that great balance, Gal, of being strong and powerful, and at the same time, she's that emotional, even with Victor in, you know, in Justice League, I wouldn't say guiding him, but she's trying to be there for him emotionally. Like, you know, you know, it's okay. Like, you might need us. We need you. You know, she's trying to bring that out in him. And so I like how finally now with Zack Snyder's Justice League, we see that, you know, we don't just, I know some people, you know, Patty had made the comment about, like, you know, people don't want to see her cutting people's heads off and stuff like that, which, you know, if that's how she wanted, I mean, if that's how she felt, then that's fine. You know, that's her opinion. That's how she wanted to portray her, which is fine. But and I guess, I mean, I understand how it could be hard to strike that balance between, you know, showing this strong, powerful warrior that does kill when it's necessary, or, you know, when she feels like it's necessary, but at the same time being loving and deep and emotional. And I mean, the story she had, I mean, Wonder Woman has an awesome, you know, lore for them to explore that. I mean, it's the reason why she feels the need to leave Themyscira in the first place. So will you be excited to see her go back to Themyscira?
Yeah. I think that last scene of her being like, I want to go back home, because the last thing Steppenwolf told her is like, I burned your island, right? And so she's like, liar. But then she's like, like, she's just so sad, you know, standing there. Needs to go back, but she has no way to go back. She doesn't know where it is, right? I don't think she does, because in the storyboards, it's kind of like a big part of her trying to go back. It's trying to figure out a way to get there because she doesn't know. So in Zack's mind, she can't go back. She can't find the island. So
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm saying that got me. I was like, oh, my girl trying to find mom and her island.
Yeah, and I think like what Steppenwolf, like he kept hitting that with her. Like he kept trying to push her with that. Like, you know, you left, you could have protected them from me. Like he knows that she's significantly different from them. You know, that she can give him a fight. And he, you know, he kind of keeps like making her feel guilty about that.
Right.
You know.
And you see her emotional. The last thing was emotion, like I want to go back type of thing, and what happened.
Yeah. The only thing that Zack mentioned, I think it was during the watch party when he was like in the chat with people, he just mentioned that the arrow of Artemis could lead her home.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I guess, you know, the writing that she sees on there or something could help her. That's how she could possibly get back to Themyscira. But I don't know. I mean, because in the theatrical version, she says it like when Hippolyta shoots the arrow. In the theatrical version, she says, listen to me. And then in this movie, she says, return to me. So I don't know if that also changed. I mean, I don't know exactly how the arrow of Artemis works, if it's just what's on there, or if somehow, you know, it guides her back home. But I don't know if she could leave again and she won't be able, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work.
No, like there. I think it's super cool. And the storyboards, again, they use the lasso to kind of like, self to kind of like see it. And that's when she saw that vision of being the god of war. Like, because also herself, like, I thought it was so cool. Mainly the storyboards, I'm mentioning it because we are trying to restore the Snyderverse. We all want her, and so they're out there for a reason. And I think Zack wants to use that for a reason. You know, we should give importance of what he had in mind for the whole world. And I'm like, you know, it just left me knowing that is like a little trailer of, dang, I want to see that, you know? And I get smart with these things because it just got me so excited. And I believe that it will happen. I believe it has to. There's no way.
I think that, a lot of it, like our mentality about this whole movement has kind of shifted because, I mean, I was always trying to stay optimistic about, you know, the Snyder Cut happening. Like, you know, the more things would gradually, the more it grew, the more attention it gained outside of the fandom. I mean, especially now that the movie's out, it's so far outside of the fandom that started it. You know, it's like Hollywood, pop culture, athletes. I mean, just so many people that it's reached that have an audience that are getting it out there.
And the crazy that politically, there's so much, there's a lot wrong with what they did. There's a lot of, you know, whitewashing characters, a lot of important characters, like, you know, Cyborg's story. You have one of the first Asian superheroes in the DC, and a lot wrong. Like we saw, you know, Wonder Woman moaning versus, you know, there's a video going around. Alex Lobo posted it, and it's like, you go back now the world can see this. It's not just the Snyder Cut fans that we follow. No, Snyder, but we see the diversity of the cast, what he's done, and then we see the opposite of what happened. So people that don't know what happened are like, what the heck is this? Upset, right? And so it's not just a fandom now, it's beyond that, and
far beyond
that. Well, you put it on yourselves. Like, there's nothing can do. I support Warner, like Warner movies. I love anything they give me, like King Kong. I love movies. I'm a big movie lover, but I am hurt at the interview that came out, the way they talk about the fan base, and I'm like, no, it's not just the Snyder fan base now. We're talking about big time people that are seeing with their own eyes what happened. And they go back to watch the other one, and they're finding more. And it's been only 10 days? Not
even 2. Yeah, like a week and a half.
It's not enough to go like, oh, I'm gonna watch the other movie again. But when it starts developing even more and more, it's gonna be something really serious. Like and the whole plan that Zack had envisioned, we want more of that. We want more of these characters that he worked so hard on, and these actors that are diverse, and they bring some positivity and influence to young kids, to adults.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's always been shocking to me, that people will say like that his heroes are not inspirational and things like that, because I mean, my kids love them,
right?
And not just because they're like, oh yeah, they have toys and all that they play with, but they love Man of Steel. My son loves Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman. I mean, with the Snyder Cut, there was parts that we were like, cover your eyes, cover your ears. But when they see them, like the action parts or Superman flying, I mean, my daughter she's always asking, I heard her outside the other day, we have no fear. She's 4. Yeah, she loves it. The first time we watched it, she was like, about halfway through the movie, she's like, Mommy, I want to get my Wonder Woman shirt, from her closet. And I was like,
that's so cool.
Yeah. And it's like, they do. I mean, she loves seeing Diana. I mean, she loves seeing her when she's little, like in the Wonder Woman movie, when we see her for a little while as a little girl, but she loves her, in the Snyder Cut. My son loves them. They're just like, they know they're pretend, but they're like in awe, when they see them. And it's not true that they're not inspirational, that they're only for adults. Yeah, there's more adult stuff about it compared to some other superhero movies, or, the things that are geared more towards kids and stuff like that. But like, they feel that when they watch it,
Yeah. I was, and the kids have a lot of imagination.
Yeah.
They feel it. They emotion. Like I was talking to Amanda, Goldberg, I forgot her.
Yeah.
But Amanda, she said something that was brilliant. She's like, when you're sleeping and you're dreaming, and you dream with your grandmother who passed away or whatever, you feel emotions in that dream. Nobody can tell you that what you felt wasn't real, right? And it's not real, but what you felt was real. So for little kids, when I see that, it's like you transport into this world, and it makes you feel emotions. You're like, oh my gosh, like you get scared, you get excited, you cry. I mean, and nobody can otherwise. And for kids, that makes an impact. And Cyborg had one of the most touching stories of the whole movie, and Flash, and it was a much needed movie.
Very.
Nowadays, to be honest.
Definitely. And I love, I mean, I think each of them had something that really even when they were just coming out with like the character trailers, each one had like a hard, like, that kind of dialogue moment, where it's just like, I mean, Wonder Woman was, with hers, we have no fear. That one, really hit everybody hard. Cyborg's I'm not broken and I'm not alone. That one is really resonating a lot. And especially like today, the raising awareness and stuff for AFSP, suicide prevention. They even put the banner, in the movie. And the first I didn't notice it at first. I don't know how I missed it, but like I think the second time I watched it, I was like, hey, that's really awesome that they put that there. But his story is, it's very important. He's not just meant there to be angry, as we heard comments about that, what that Ray Fisher shared. It is super important. He represents so much. They really all do in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
But his was really, we didn't really see any of that story in the theatrical version. And so to see how much we really was needed for him, like it's just a huge, throughout the whole movie, his story is really significant. Yeah, it's definitely emotional. I knew he was going to be the one to make us cry a lot. Like, I was already prepared.
I cried the first, minute, because when I saw Batman with the teary eye, I was like, oh my God. Like, it's we see such a difference between BVS. He's like, oh, you see that little glare, and that got me. And the scream, it was such an important part to explain what the heck woke up the mother boxes. I was like, this was done carefully.
It was very emotional. There's that opening scene too. I could say I was part of it was like I was crying because we're actually watching it, and then the other part was like, I don't want to see Superman die again.
So many emotions, right? And then they did that for the mustache, and I'm like, what the heck were they thinking?
And
that first watch, I was like, they replaced this by this, like what? I was no, and that made me cry. Like the history lesson, when I saw the Green Lantern and the ring and all, I was like, dark side. I start crying. My husband's like, he gets it. He didn't even make fun of me, because he makes fun of me when I cry for stupid stuff. But he knows
you're like,
too. I was like,
you better leave this one alone.
They took this out. Like, what? And it's it's the fandom. It's the people that love the stories, the movies, the comics, and like, what are you doing? That's mainly why I cried first. And then
it's a lot. It's it's a lot of things put together, like the buildup of waiting for this, finding out it's happening. Like, it's very surreal, and it's so emotional. It's more than just like a movie.
Right.
I think that's why a lot of the built-up emotion comes out. And one part that I wasn't even expecting to be, even when I watch it now, still I get teary-eyed, is when Flash, spoiler alert, anybody, is when Flash is when he's reversing time.
Oh my gosh.
At the end, I cry. Like, the way it looks, the music, his dialogue, like everything, all of that put together, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. All of that put together, I have never seen such a beautiful sequence. Like, I love that part so much. And I love it so much. It was super overwhelming the first time watching it.
Yeah, me too. I cry so much. And I was thinking about, I always thought that phrase meant something for Zack. And I thought to myself, did he meant to do that speech for Autumn? Like, no matter what, your kid was one of the best. I bawled out. I was just thinking about the possibility of that being a message, a subtle message.
Yeah.
The whole movie was full of subtle messages about,
family
and stuff, and family, and not being alone and stuff. And that last moment, I was like, I just wanted to know, no matter what, your kid was one of the best.
Yeah.
And I cried so hard. It was the first time I watched it. And knowing that was a big part of the fandom of Flashpoint, and that it was taken out, and he was out there and saving the Russian family instead.
I know.
What were you thinking? The whole time I was just upset.
Yeah, the entire movie, you're like,
the entire movie is like a manifestation of upset.
Yeah, upset and joy at the same time. Before we have just a couple of minutes left, before we finish up the stream, we do have a fan appreciation video that we are have been asked to play. So let me go ahead and bring that up. Let me make sure I share the audio. All right. There were some shared, I think on every stream, there's going to be some shared. And so this is fans showing appreciation, for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So let's go ahead and give this a look.
I'm Shubhadeep Dash from Kolkata. and I am a long-term DC fan and now Snyder fan also. From the very start of Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition release, and then slowly coming together to form a group, to form a community, and then finally having our own fight, and lastly to see the Zack Snyder Justice League in its full glory. I want to just say that I'm happiest person in the world just because Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder and all their family members got a closure, at least in some form, and they could do this.
Hello Zack and fellows, here is Ulysses from Hong Kong. Thank you for what you have been done for the AFSP, and thank you for the epic movies you have made. This means to everyone. Hope, faith, love is always the important part of the life equations, especially for the hard time with this global pandemic. I suffered from anxiety before. The success of this movement double confirmed that hope is always here, even it is in the narrow corridors. Thanks.
Hey guys, greetings from India. Yeah, I've been a fan of Zack ever since I watched 300 for the first time. I simply fell in love with his work. Man of Steel is my most favorite movie of all time. I watch it when I'm happy, I watch it when I'm sad. In the past, whenever I was in a tough situation in my life, that movie filled me with positivity, with hope that there will always be a better tomorrow, and it made me realize that I need to work for it. And I just want to say thank you, Zack. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you to everyone involved in making Zack Snyder's Justice League a reality, because you have worked tirelessly for months, and you deserve to be appreciated for that. That's why on behalf of all the fans, I say thank you. We love you.
Hey Zack, I hope you are doing well. Huge fan from Egypt and a big supporter since the day one. I have been fighting all along for this movie, and the dream has come. Your work has meant to me a lot of love, passion, sympathy, and a true thank to you for your dedication and hard work in completing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Thank you, Zack Snyder. Thank you.
Frankly, I have no words to describe what Zack Snyder's work, not only his films, but his charity work, means to me.
Hello, Mr. Zack Snyder. My name is Joshua, and I'm a huge fan of your work from Honolulu, Hawaii. I wrote a little message here for you, so please bear with me while I read it aloud. I want to wish you and your wife, Deborah, and the rest of your family great health, happiness, safety, and prosperity for the rest of your lives. May God bless you and continue to watch over you and your family. I wanted to congratulate you on your Justice League. I thought it was a beautiful and epic cinematic masterpiece. I found myself laughing, crying, cheering, and jumping for joy. I want to let you know that your cause through AFSP means the world to me. I'm so glad I was able to contribute and be a part of something so beautiful, organic, authentic, and inspiring. I've been anticipating your film since Man of Steel was first announced. The DCEU has been my personal favorite franchise growing up, and you did my heroes justice. I hope you will consider looking into adapting my favorite computer games to live action on the big screen as well, Max Payne 1 to 3 and Half-Life. You would be perfect. In closing, thank you so much for your dedication, passion, perseverance, and love you put into creating my favorite comic book movie of all time. Mahalo.
Hi Zack, I just want to say thank you for working so hard and giving us a true sequel to Batman v Superman. I really enjoyed watching the story arcs of each League members and how they go through their emotional journeys and how they overcome it. I'm forever grateful to witness the completion of your intended version of the Justice League.
Hello Zack Snyder, I want to say thank you for the Zack Snyder Justice League on 18 March, and I cannot wait to see the whole story of Justice League from you, because when I know about the whole story about the behind the scene, so I decided to support the movement release the Snyder Cut, and I'm really happy. I cannot wait to see all this story on the Justice League on 18 March. Please.
From India. I'm a member of DC community of Bengal. I love Zack Snyder, I love his films. I think Zack Snyder is a visionary director and one of the all-time greats. I think I find his films to be visual masterpieces. Each scene is intricately carved and made with passion, and that shows. His demon characters are so powerful and inspiring. Zack Snyder, it shows that he really understands the comics. He knows the character, he deconstructs them and puts them into modern tropes which are so inspiring, so fulfilling. Superman, Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Wonder Woman, and I love the level of depth of the mental health issues his films touch on. Thank you, Zack Snyder, for giving us the Snyderverse. Restore the Snyderverse. Us united.
What's up, Zack? I just wanted to thank you for changing my life with your movies. I saw 300 when I was in high school, and that was just like the first time I was blown away by a movie. And I grew up in the 90s as a massive Superman fan, and there wasn't a whole lot of material out there for us. And you changed all that with Man of Steel. And then when BVS came out, my favorite movie of all time, I was just blown away, and I loved it. And I saw it early because we went to a screening of that trailer, and you gave everyone a free ticket. And when Justice League came out, I was just heartbroken. You held SnyderCon. I live in New Jersey. I flew across the country. I needed to meet you. I needed to see what was going on and ask you the question: does Zack Snyder's Justice League exist? And it does. I'm gonna watch it in 2 days. We did it. I knew something had to be done. We all did, and we all came together. And I thank you for that. Now it's my life. I got Farnsworth House from BVS hanging behind me in my apartment. I'm excited for what's to come. Restore the Snyderverse.
Well, this is the first time where I saw Dawn of the Dead. The first time I saw Zack Snyder's film. Now we released the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut was released. We all did it. And to say that I'm happy, it's beyond words. Because what does Zack Snyder's Justice League mean to me? Well, as someone who is also part of this film industry, as someone who is an actor, who helps others that make their own films, Zack's films has taught me that I gotta do things with my heart, with my passion. Because when I put my heart and my passion out there, people will see it, and people will like it, and people don't fight for you because they agree with what you put out. Powerful art can heal. Zack's okay. And he healed all of us. And in turn, he healed him. Because look, take a look at what happened. Biggest thing, I didn't expect it. I did not expect any of this stuff. And now, Zack is back here. I'm talking about it. So we started something. We gotta do something else. Restore Snyderverse. Now, I'm gonna go watch a movie.
That was nice.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, so we just there's different, people are going to be sharing all the different parts of that on their different streams. So we wanted to go ahead and share our section, of course, get this out there for everyone to, for Zack and Deborah to just understand how much the fans appreciate beyond the movie, what this means for people emotionally and mentally. But we are cutting into Moldiversity's time. I'm sure they are getting their stream going. So let me go ahead and share the schedule real quick with everyone just to let you guys know. Today is the day 2 of the Us United event. So Moldiversity is starting right now, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Then we have Fatal J. Oh wait, is it sharing? Yeah, okay, good. And Luis Centeno show at 8 p.m. tonight Eastern time. So just, that's on Twitter. The schedule is on there. If you follow, anyone who's doing a stream, I'm sure they have been sharing the schedule as well. So make sure you support those streams. And again, the AFSP link is in the description. I'm sure all of the streams are going to have the links and that resource available to anyone who's watching. So, that's the main focus of today. So make sure that's what we are. Don't be, just spread the positivity and love in the comments. Don't be negative. Don't be hateful, nothing like that. We want to keep the positive going. So we definitely want to give a huge thank you to the amazing Liz Wonder for stopping by, especially on short notice. Thank you so much for giving us your time, your stories. It's always a safe space, just so you know that, safe space for sure. So if the emotions come out, it's okay. It's okay.
It is what it is. Thank you so much for having me and for everything that you're doing. You're awesome.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And also, you're my first female guest on the show.
Yay!
So yeah, you get the first for that. And it was, obvious choice for a first female guest. So really happy that you're able to be a part of it with us today. But thank you guys for all the support. Make sure you support Liz Wonder's work as well. She is working hard to set a positive example. So make sure you support her in the positive, loving way for sure, and show her your appreciation. And yeah, restore the Snyderverse. Keep all of that going. Thank you guys so much.